I love Sacramento. I remember to just be and do things as family.
That was the only comfort we had.
And I was kind of sad when we had left.
The shit gonna get right wild though again after this though.
I felt like we were just getting stable, you know. I believe definitely what I've always believed was the abuse, and just getting away from Antonio was the reason we just really had to get out of Dodge. So we fled to Sacramento. It didn't really register at the time. I remember like, I think it was the day of or the day before, my great grandmother had me, and she had took me to my grandma's house or something. I was eating pork rinds and a Nutty Buddy or something. But it didn't register that it was like my last time being with, because I felt like we were seeing everybody before we left. But it didn't register, you know, my young mind, that's what was happening before we had actually left. So we ended up going to Sacramento. I do remember the green luggage we had. We had like this sage or olive green type of luggage. We probably left a lot of stuff, because I think those are the only two things we really had. Between like four of us, my mom, my sister, and my brother. And I remember us taking the Greyhound. We were on that thing for days. I remember us making frequent stops at like stores and stuff. But yeah, I remember it just being dark on the Greyhound all the time. And then we ended up in Sacramento.
Again, I remember getting off that Greyhound. We were so excited to see Roger and be off the Greyhound.
We were met at the station with, by Roger, my mom's high school friend. I think they ended up dating since we went there, but they had like for homecoming or prom dates or something like that.
He picked us up in a car, I remember. And we drove through Sacramento and we pulled up to a house, and this house was really nice. I remember we were like, oh, this is really, really nice.
It was a nice house. There's a backyard. I think a little jungle gym. It was nice. It was a serene space.
And I remember like as soon as we got there, we like went into he had a 3-bedroom house, and a girl room and a boy room, because he had 2 kids. He had a daughter and a son. So we went and like fell asleep instantly on their beds when we got there. I remember that. We fell asleep on their beds. Like I fell asleep in the boys' room, Charlie fell asleep in the girls' room. And it was Terrell and Simone. That was their names. That was Roger's kids' name, Terrell and Simone. And I remember we woke up to them. Like they came while we were like asleep, and we woke up to them. They were like their dad obviously told them who they were, but they were like curious, like to meet us and us waking up.
But I remember or them coming and like being like kind of off put by us being there, because it's like, welcome to the house. You got 3 step siblings, kind of.
It was cool. Like we actually got along, like kind of cool. Like I remember Terrell and Shaidaja like went back and forth a lot. Like he just went back and forth with just all the girls in general. But I got along with him, and I got along with Simone.
I don't know if it's because I was so young, but I had like the first day I slept in her bed, I had like peed in the bed. I had like a serious like bedwetting problem up until I was like 8 or 9. I just was like hush hush with it, or I'd lie about it. But I mean, being in social work, I know that like at certain ages or for prolonged times, that bedwetting is highly correlated with like trauma. So I mean, it makes sense. But I was super embarrassed of that.
That was actually cool. Like that was so chill because of all the trauma we just came from too. That 9 months being in Sacramento was like very peaceful for us. I remember the only drama was Terrell and Simone's mom, Roger's ex, would come like she knew when she came, she would come when Roger was never there. He'd be at work, and she would just show up and kind of just like, not demand like the house, but like she like say something in the house she needed, like some CDs or something, and just like cause a ruckus. And then he would come, and like the cops would come or something eventually and tell her she has to go. She was just kind of like mad we were there.
I remember his ex-wife being white, and I remember her being so mad that we were there, or he had moved my mom and us in there. But I remember her like being in the garage or him trying to shoo her away. We're all up in the business. She was making a ruckus and she tried to hit him with the car. I don't even know why she was mad. I can only speculate it was because we were there. My mom was, she was so pissed.
I remember that at times, but like, again, the shit we just came from, we did not give a damn about no goddamn bickering and arguing. That was the last thing we was worried about. Nobody was touching us. So we was cool. Sacramento was cool on that part because I wasn't worried about nothing like that. Like, he had a pool in the backyard. We were going swimming and shit. Like, I remember that because we got there like I said, like kind of right before springtime, right before spring, and then leading into summer. He bought a pool. He went and traded his car in and had a minivan. He was working. Our mom was just chill and take care of like the house and us. So I remember it was cool. Like, it was straight.
I love Sacramento. I remember we had a lot of good memories while we were there. Like, it was the safest, I feel like we were after a while. Like, we didn't really have to worry about too much. When I think about Sacramento, I think about Alicia Keys playing on a Saturday morning. Like, I love living there. I remember Roger's mom. She didn't live too far, I don't think. I remember her watching us sometimes throughout the day because none of us were in school or anything. So, you know, my mom didn't work. But she was always sweet, always cooking for us. I think that's when I fell in love with grits even more. Yeah, she's a sweet soul. Felt free, relaxed. Like we could just be kids. I don't even remember cleaning up after myself too much, We went to so many events. Like, it felt like normal, to just be and do things as family. That's why I always appreciate Roger.
He treated us good, like took us places, treated us like his own kid. We went to Disneyland. I remember like we got treated good out there. Sacramento was good for our mental health. I remember that. Like I was like, no one even knowing that was such a like decompressor for all the bullshit we went through. I look back, that was the only comfort we had. Like before then and after then, that moment in his house, and that's something I should go back and thank him. I never thanked him because that was the only time we was kind of good. Like we was good. He treated us good. Like, let those kids chill for some time. And the shit gonna get right wild though again after this though. They don't even know. And that whole time I was there, I didn't go to school. So when I got there, I missed the last half of kindergarten. And then I missed like the first 3-4 months of first grade. There was a lot of like just weird bored time. Like I kind of like was odd. Like that's where like I really like started like thinking like a lot to myself and like exploring my brain though. Like was when I was there though. Like I had a lot of like peaceful time. A kid my age went from like just going to being in school to like a long break. Like that was weird for me. Like I was used to going to school, so I became curious and interested in everything. Like you kind of say, I think that sometimes I probably did. I did get in trouble at times because I was curious in things. I got into stuff. I was bored. Like you should have put me in school or something. I don't know why, but my mom started talking to like a lot of family from Washington. A lot of our family was already living here, so she started talking to a lot of family here. And people in her head started saying that we should go there.
And then I do remember our Aunt Minnie, good family friend of ours back home. She came a few times in town to check on us.
I remember when we saw her though, it was like, that was like our piece of like Florida that we were like, oh, that's kind of home again. That's home again.
Yeah, we had like a few key people, especially Aunt Minnie, that checked on us. I think our family up in Washington checked on us somewhat too, at least by phone, because that's how we ended up going there. But I do remember my mom having a connection with every family member really that we had.
I remember during this time we were in Sacramento, like talking to my grandma on the phone, talking to my great grandma on the phone. Like I remember talking to them on the phone. Still didn't talk to my dad during that time. Still never heard nothing from my dad.
But I think Aunt Minnie, especially coming up, the amount of time she did was just like, I don't know, a testament to how worried people were about us and our safety, especially with my mom, and like knowing what we can likely be susceptible to again. I mean, God rest her soul. I always appreciate that because I remember that being one of the only familiar folks that kind of, is checking on us just for the sake of checking on us, which was important because I think she was trauma informed in the fact that like we had just come out of a crisis, to a whole nother place, which is a culture shock in itself. The West Coast, California, with another black man and his kids don't know which way it's going to go, and just, trying to respite after that, which I think is crazy. But there has to be some follow-up, more than just a phone call, which I know of our family can't just fly out there and see if we made it safely or, do a welfare check. But for her to do that was just like to have eyes on us herself. I feel like was so important, so loving, and so necessary.
I remember her coming around and comforting us. I remember seeing her a lot throughout life. Rest in peace, Tom Minnie.
I think I was kind of sad when we had left. I felt like we were just getting stable, just getting used to a different lifestyle, a different pace of life, and a different normal, which I really enjoyed. So I was sad to leave.
My mom was going through shit and kind of wanted more, I felt like. And he was kind of like taking it easy, but like still playing house. But I never really understood their emotional thing. Like, I know like they were together, but I think like maybe my mom just, her shit was too much at the time and she just needed to be around family. Cause it's like we could have stayed there, but she wanted to leave because we left quick. Like,
I later learned once I ran into or connected with Roger when I went to Sacramento as an adult. I later learned that he had got laid off from a good job and whatnot, which is why we had to go to Washington. But I'm sure I can only speculate that there was other conflict with like him and my mom relationship wise. But we ended up moving to Washington State because we have some aunts and uncles and cousins up here in Washington.
After that, life became a journey when we left Sacramento. Like literally, we went from Florida having like family that like watched over us, had us, and then in Sacramento we just stayed with Roger in his home. So we were just, that was our life. Like there was no like enemies. I don't remember even playing with other kids. We were at his house playing with his kids, doing our thing. Like that was our life. So it was real cool there. I had no enemies and we wasn't worried about nothing. And then we took the Greyhound and we moved to Washington.